Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day for all you fine people for your Thursdays. We've reached the final day of March, which means tomorrow is April 1st. I haven't made a determination on what I may or may not do for tomorrow. It's been a while since I did anything kind of fun on April 1st, so feels like it's overdue. So we'll see what happens. But today's news of the day. Clayton Keller's season is done. Him tweeting out that basically it's finished. He's in the hospital, but he feels okay. Leg injury last night when he's crashed into the boards, and it looked like there was probably other things going on there too. Maybe a concussion. But at any rate, his season's finished. The aim is to have him back and good to go by training camp. And apparently the timeline they're looking at may very well be training camp when he's good to go. So really good year for Keller before the injury. It's a shame that it ends this way, but I'm glad to see that it's not an injury that should affect next year's numbers at all. So all the best to him and hoping for a speedy recovery. Now in Toronto, things get more difficult in net. Peter Mrazek's out 6 weeks. That takes him out for the remainder of the regular season plus the first round. So the two-headed monster they had in net of potentially Mrazek and Campbell and seeing who gets hot to get ready for the playoffs, well, that gets a little more fuzzy now. Campbell is close to a comeback. He's not returning tonight, but he's close. Hutchinson's been called up, so Hutchinson and Källgren are the tandem right now. And it may very well be one thing that people look at, and when we get to the playoffs, say, I don't think I can trust Toronto in a series, and people may just pick the other team. And I don't know if it would matter if it was Tampa Bay, if it was Boston, if it was Carolina, Florida, whoever they would play. I think that we're going to see people having a hard time looking at the goaltending tandem and seeing victories. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It absolutely can. It's just going to be kind of a cloudy picture between now and then. Jake Muzzin is close to a return to the lineup. Justin Hall will be in the lineup. The one that will not is Lyubushkin. So Lyubushkin's out. It doesn't look like it's going to be long-term. It's more of a day-to-day thing. Muzzin, it doesn't look like we'll be in the lineup tonight, but he was a full participant in practice, so he is not that far out for Toronto. That'd be a huge addition to have Muzzin back, but it would be too bad if Muzzin's back and not Lyubushkin as well. So Toronto, if they can get a healthy blue line going, that may very well help to cushion a goaltending tandem of Källgren and Hutchinson. At the very least, they may have to change how they play their game. Maybe play with a little bit more of a methodical approach, an Islanders-like approach, and just keep things locked down until you've got a goaltender back in, which would have to be Campbell. Campbell's medically cleared, but they're making sure that he feels comfortable before they put him back in the net. Jesperi Kotkaniemi's out at least a couple of weeks. Lower body injury suffered near the end of the game against Washington. And so he'll be out for a while. It's 2 weeks, could be 3. But Carolina, again, they've got tons of depth. Martinook is coming back. So with Martinook back, he likely picks up then Kotkaniemi's spot in the lineup. And so that does change the look of things a little bit. But Martinook isn't really a downgrade. Good player who hasn't played in a while either. So hopefully Kotkaniemi's good to go 3 weeks down the road, or 2 weeks maybe. For Vancouver fans, last night was a tough one. So they've won 3 of their last 11. And to me, they've fallen out of contention. This is kind of it. They're 2-4-2 in their last 8 at home. Next up, they have a back-to-back against the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm not envisioning this as a way for Vancouver to get back into the hunt. I see this as a way for Vancouver, if they win a game or both of them, to pull Vegas out of a playoff spot and make it so they don't make it. That being said, I would expect a very desperate-looking Vegas team. I saw some desperate hockey from them against Seattle. I've seen desperate hockey from Vegas over the last few games. And when a team's playing that way, which is basically just 60 minutes of all-out pressure, and just playing your game and just wearing the other team down, it's very difficult to come off with a win against that kind of play. So for Vancouver, they likely need to win 11 of their final 14 games to qualify for the playoffs. So that gives a really good picture of just how daunting their task is if they were going to try to make it. They do have the game against Dallas in a couple of weeks at home, but they just do not have enough games against teams ahead of them. And again, their record over their last 11 has not been very good. So while I'm going to the Dallas-Vancouver game, looks like I'll probably be wearing a Dallas jersey. And And again, that's kind of how I decide what I'm going to wear when I'm going to see two teams I'm cheering for. Dallas is in a position where they could very well make the playoffs, and it might be fun to see them there. Vancouver's very unlikely to make it. So in that instance, this one time where I'd be wearing Dallas to a Vancouver game against them. I've seen Dallas in person twice. Pretty sure I wore the Canucks jersey both times. It's possible I wore Dallas the first time, but I'm pretty sure I wore Vancouver both times. But anyways, they've been fun. They've been better under Boudreau. Boudreau's earned the right to come back next year. And while the run ends up coming up short, it was fun to watch for a while there, wasn't it? Speaking of fun to watch, Jason Zucker returning tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins from core muscle surgery. So having Zucker back in the lineup gives them another offensive weapon to use. They have a lot of them, but they also usually are dealing with injuries as well. So getting Zucker back in there will be good for them. It'll be interesting to see what that does to their line combinations. The Florida Panthers, who've been without Lundell for a while, apparently he is expected to be available to play this weekend. So won't be in the lineup tonight against Chicago, but he's expected to be available to play this weekend. With the time he's missed, of course, it takes him out of the conversation for the Calder Trophy, but still, really good two-way forward, and Florida will be glad to have him back in the lineup. They have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to forwards in Florida, and you can never have too many when it comes to playoff time, and you start seeing those injuries. Chicago news tonight is game number 1,000 for Jonathan Toews against the Florida Panthers. So this is a big milestone for a guy that I know last season when he missed the season, I was concerned that maybe he wasn't going to play this year. And so him getting to 1,000 games is an accomplishment, and it'll be fun to see how things go for Chicago this offseason and what happens. My comments almost a week ago now about Toews and maybe not sticking around just stem from the fact that it's a $10.5 million cap hit. I think Chicago might be looking to move that at some point next year. It's possible that he might be willing to be a rental at the deadline next year. Maybe he comes back to Chicago after that. But I think with the idea that they're going into a rebuild, I think the odds of Jonathan Toews ending up playing somewhere else, they go up. I don't think they have for Kane. I think the Chicago Blackhawks would like to keep Kane around. He may even get a raise over the $10.5 million he's making right now. But yeah, I do think for Toews, it's probably nearing the end of the time for him in Chicago, probably next year. And again, it just reading the tea leaves more than anything else. McDavid last night hits the 100-point mark. This is the 5th time he's done so, and this is before age 24, so he is in some heady territory. Gretzky did it 8 times, which is ridiculous. Mario Lemieux and Dale Hawerchuk did it 6 times. Bobby Orr and Brian Trottier did it 5 times. And what do all those players have in common? They are all Hall of Famers. Gretzky, Lemieux, Orr, Hawerchuk, Trottier. I'm pretty sure all of them were first ballot too. I don't think any of them had to wait till second ballot. I think as soon as they were eligible, they were in. And I know in the case of Gretzky and Lemieux, and I'm pretty sure Orr, they didn't even have to do the wait. I think the wait time was waived for them. And so they directly went into the Hall of Fame as soon as they'd retired. So McDavid's really in some pretty strong, pretty great company right there. And I would say that if he came out at the end of the season and said, you know what, forget it, I'm gonna go spelunking, I'm good. I still think he's already put together a Hall of Fame career. Nathan MacKinnon is going to play tonight. He's expected to play tonight for Colorado. I'm saying expected because that can change. But yeah, McKinnon's likely playing tonight. I did get a kick out of the comments yesterday from people saying he didn't actually hurt himself in the fight because he seemed fine the rest of the game. Because you can't get hurt and not realize until later that you're in a lot of pain. Definitely with sports, that's how it works. Where you can get hurt, not realize, and then after go, wow, this really hurts. And then you go, well, maybe that was something that happened with the fight. So either way, McKinnon's playing tonight. And that's good news for Colorado because, of course, there's a lot of concern of, hey, if he hurt his hand or whatever it might have been, shoulder, that could be really bad news for a Colorado team that is feeling a lot of pressure for a Stanley Cup. So I figured with Colorado in the news, I'd go ahead and throw on the new Quebec jersey. And if anybody didn't watch the unboxing yesterday, these are the new Adidas Classics. I got this one from Ben H Sports, and of course there's always the link in the description to the video to his email address to email him about what he has and in what size and all that wonderful stuff, because his inventory doesn't always match what the online store has. So I always kind of email him and say, hey, so do you have? And sometimes he has something that I'm looking for that I might not have been able to find on his store. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.